Yes, welcome back to the No Stay Project. I'm your host, Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land. It is the May 31st edition of the No Stay Project, and here on LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network. And what I want to do is we want to discuss, and JT, you're with us, right?
I'm here.
All right. I know I'm going to play, we're going to, see, you're going to have to play this at the same time, or somehow so that you can follow, so we can, because you're not going to be able to hear this part of the feed.
Sure. So just give me a countdown, and I will start it.
Let's see.
I'm ready.
Let's see what we got going here. All right, go now.
Okay.
Yep. Do you have any objection if I talk to Mr. Stevens about
I have no.
tax matters?
No, he has my full permission.
Okay, thanks. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it seems to be that the operating presumption is that if someone like Dan is physically in Maine, then the constitutional laws apply to him. And do you agree with that?
If he's in Maine, definitely, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what we do is, and this is very important for anybody who's going to be doing this, someone like Brody, you want to get agreement with them first. You don't want them to be able to say later, that's not what I said, or that's your assumption, Marc. You got to get the agreement. So here, JT, we get agreement that if I'm in Maine or someone in Maine is in Maine, the laws definitely, he used the word definitely apply, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear your feed perfectly, by the way, so we're good.
Wow, that's
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a little in humor between us. That's because I'm using the Mac.
Oh, ooh, that was a shot.
Yeah. No,
It's a shot.
You shouldn't be able to hear that, but I'm glad you did. So, so this is very important because if you're dealing with bureaucrats, if you're dealing with people who are just generally being a douche, then they're going when you catch them contradicting themselves, they're going to turn around and say, that's not what I said. And we've got plenty of call of shames where they did that. We had a woman say, it just is. And when I brought that back, she said, that's not what I said. No, that's absolutely what you said. I mean, that's I have a whole, I'm going to, for those, for the video, because we're taking some video that will get posted, I take notes of this stuff. I write them down. I write their comments down, even though I'm recording it. So I got it right there in front of me. So again, that's important. So again, he's agreeing to the same old line that we've heard so many times. If you're physically in Maine, for whatever duration of time, wherever it is, you are going to be subject to the laws, and they have jurisdiction. Okay,
right.
So we'll finish. We'll go.
My question is, do you have any actual facts, any actual proof that just because he's physically in Maine, that the constitutional laws of the state of Maine apply to him?
Now, I know this could take 3 hours to go through at this.
But that chuckle, what was that chuckle about? Oh, that's absurd.
I was waiting for you to do that. What the hell is so funny about that?
Yeah, I don't find anything funny there.
So I've got an article I'm going to post with this video, and I'll have a separate audio file for the call to shame, and Calvin will work some magic on that. We're not going to edit any content though. I don't see where the question was so funny. All I did was ask him we have his argument, right?
Yep.
I asked him, do you have any proof to support that argument? And his first response is to laugh.
Chuckle, right?
So, okay. Because maybe it's so easy to prove. It's like me asking, well, do you have proof that 2 + 2 is 4? Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to laugh. Well, yeah, if you can see my finger, my fingers, I think I can prove that. So, okay, so here we go. Let's continue.
I don't really know how to respond to you. I think you've got a legal argument there. You're going to have to talk to one of our attorneys.
Again, this is a very standard line, right?
Yeah, you didn't make a legal argument. You asked for evidence.
Right. I asked him about the legal argument. He agreed already. We already got that. The legal argument that he agrees with, right? If you're physically in Maine, the laws definitely apply to you. I ask him for evidence. He gives me legal argument.
Right.
No. I don't care how many times you say that a question is an argument. It's not. And I had
Nope.
I had one of the top guys at the Idaho Attorney General's office, so I'll get this posted too, insist that a question of evidence was in fact an argument.
Wow.
Not only that, this guy, I shouldn't be doing it in this video because I don't have enough time. He actually insisted to me, asking for evidence, was asking for legal advice. I can't.
Wow.
But I can't get into that right now. We don't have the time. So let's finish here. Again, he's saying that my question of evidence, where's your proof, sir, is a legal argument.
Right.
Actually, it's a question. It's not an argument. I'm asking you if you have proof to. I mean, you said, I think, you agreed that if someone is physically in Maine, then the constitutional laws apply to them. I'm just asking you if you have any actual facts to prove that. It's not an argument. It's just a question.
What are you looking for? I mean, what kind of an answer are you trying to come up with?
Again, this is a dodge, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm looking for is something that doesn't involve your laughter would be number one, and I mean,
haven't I been clear though?
Yeah, no, very clear, very succinct.
Again, because a lot of people who don't listen to this show will have problems with this because they meant they're first hearing something like this. So we'll spend some time on it. This, you said you have your argument, and I asked you for proof. What the heck? It's not about me. I'm asking you for proof.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine someone that they consider a legitimate journalist? Because who am I? I got my voluntarist colors on there behind me, JT. You can't see.
Yeah, I hear you.
If they had someone like Mike Wallace, and an investigative journalist is asking questions, what are you looking for? I'm looking for you to answer the question. What the hell is wrong with you? Just answer the question. Tell me what your argument's based on. So it's just a dodge, and I bring that out. So let's.
It's your argument. You believe that the Constitution and laws apply to Dan and anybody else who's physically in Maine. What do you base it on?
I base it on what we've been taught over the years.
Do you base it on any actual facts, any actual proof?
Such as?
And he does it again.
Yeah.
He does it again.
Yeah. It is very typical.
This is a senior official here. I mean, he's not the director, but he's not a lower level management. He's
a classic 7 words guy. This is the way we've always done it.
Yeah. Just doing what I was told.
Yep.
So he's just dodging. He's just political BS.
Sure.
He's avoiding of an extremely distressing question for him.
Yep.
The thing is, Phil, it's your argument. You're the one who, in your department and the people you work with and work for, you're the ones operating under that opinion or that presumption. So it's your argument. I just want to know if you can prove it, if there's any actual facts beyond just well, that's the way we do it.
Actually, I don't know what would prove it to you.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
He keeps trying to put it out on me.
Of course.
Just answer the question.
Well, you've got a bureaucrat in a high bureaucratic position, has been doing this for many, many years, who's used to everybody just bending over, and that's his point of reference. It's probably, well, I don't know what would convince you. We've always done it this way, and we're going to keep doing it this way, and this is the way it is.
Yeah, and I come back. Just you could convince me by being responsive.
Right.
Treat me like an adult. That's what you got to do. Answer the question.
Yep.
If I say, what is 5 plus 5? Look, I don't know what you're looking for. What would satisfy you?
Right.
Answer the question. We're unfortunately up against a break, so we're not going to actually get to do too much commentary on this for this edition of the show. But we will finish. We'll get through as much as we can, and maybe do a little bit after the show if JT, you have some time. We'll be back here on the No State Project in just a few moments. Don't go away. Yes, welcome back to the No State Project. I'm your host, Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land, the website, markstevens.net. You're listening to the last segment, and we'll do a little bit more for the podcast after the show. We'll do some more commentary about this, what I think is an epic call of shame. If you've got anybody who thinks that politicians are honest, good people just doing their job, let them hear this one. And this is not an isolated incident by a long shot. The only difference with this and some other ones is his iron fist is in a velvet glove. He just is whatever. But let's get back into this, JT, because we've got a lot to cover here.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Let me write that down. I don't know.
What would be acceptable evidence to you that the Constitution applies to him?
See, again, he's pushing it off on me. And for those in the same situation, never let them do that. The burden of proof is on the one who makes the accusation. They're the ones attacking.
Always.
Right? Yeah. So they're the ones attacking. They bear the burden of proof. And I'm going to bring up real soon why that's so important. Let's see. I actually make the moral. For those who have heard the call already, I get into the moral aspect of it, and he didn't like that much. Okay, here we go.
No, I'm not in a position. I just want to know if you can prove it. The only thing that's relevant to me is right now is whether you can prove it. And doesn't it stand to reason that if you can't prove jurisdiction over Dan, you can't support your argument, then any assessment that was done based off of that argument should be vacated.
Well, in my opinion, it does apply to him.
Okay, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. Do you have any actual facts to support that opinion?
See, and I go right back. He has that long pregnant pause.
Yep.
Right? Because
you can tell it's a problem for him. He's definitely having a problem with it.
Yeah. Again, this is not a low-level grunt. This is a guy who's worked his way through the chain of command, so he's in a middle management position. So all you want to do in these situations, see, the tactic is always diversion. It's always to put the burden back on you and to deflect the attention away from his lack of evidence. So all you do is just keep plugging away. Here we go.
Facts of what sort?
It's your argument. You just said again, it's my opinion. Well, let me finish. You just said again, it's my opinion that they do apply to him. Okay, that's your opinion, not mine. So do you have any facts to support that, or is it just, it's just an arbitrary opinion?
I don't see where I need to come up with facts to support that. Do you?
This is startling to me, JT.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got men with guns. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but at least say that. At
right.
least say, like I write in Government Indicted, don't ask me for evidence. Like, I carry a gun. What the hell? What's wrong with you?
Exactly. Yes.
At least say that. Have the at least a little bit of
integrity.
Honesty.
The integrity.
No, it's not integrity, but
I'd
say it's more
having a little fun with you there.
I'd say it's more of have some guts. Have some guts to put your cards on the table. And I got to admit, I was a little, because it was a long morning, and to hear something like that, I'm like, do you really understand what you just admitted to me?
Right.
So I've been talking with the IRS all morning at this point and dealing with some very horrible people, cruel, just like this guy, but just mean. So I'm a little taken back by this, and I'm not saying exactly what I want to say in the manner I really want to say it.
Right.
I would. Sure. I just had an IRS agent tell me that they did everything ethically, but like yourself, they had no actual evidence. I mean, if you're going to be making arguments that lead to the forcible taking of someone's property, I think that ethically, logically, and morally, that yes, I believe that you shouldn't be making arbitrary opinions and then taking people's property, because otherwise, what would separate what you're doing from common theft?
So I did get a little sarcastic there. I couldn't help that. That's kind of a...
Well, no, but I mean, you're pointing out the factual basis of his position, though, which is accurate.
And the absurdity of it, and
right.
It's so again. I'm now that we've, by his own admission, he doesn't have evidence, and he doesn't think he has to provide evidence. That's big. So now I hit him with the moral position. Really, okay, and this is. Let's hear his response.
The law.
But you don't have any evidence that actually applies here, so that you don't even have the law. So basically, what you're engaged in is theft, and your default position or opinion, you have no actual facts, and you've even said, I don't even see why I would have to have any evidence to prove my opinion. So you can't claim that the law separates what you're doing and from common thievery. So I would suggest, and I would hope that you guys can at least put a stay on any kind of proceedings against Dan until such a time as someone down there can produce some facts to support your argument that the laws apply to him just because he's physically in Maine.
Well, it was your statement that he was in Maine, physically in Maine. My belief that the Constitution applies to him, so there's no way I'm going to back off the assessments.
Do you have any evidence
that it doesn't apply to him?
So first he tries to, and he doesn't succeed, trying to make it out like I gave him the evidence that he needs to prove jurisdiction, that he's physically in Maine. But we've already established that he doesn't have the evidence. He doesn't even think he needs to have evidence to prove that the laws apply to him just because he's physically in Maine.
Right.
So now he's trying to turn it around, and you get the old reversal, which almost the entire call he's trying to put the burden on me, as if I'm making the argument, which I'm not.
You're not. You're just asking for the evidentiary basis for his argument.
Exactly. So he again tries to turn it on me, which is not logical.
No. Sir, with all due respect, the one who's making the argument, especially the ones who are using threats of force and actual force to take people's property, you took the first step. You initiated the contact. You're the ones who are making the threats. If you're going to put forth an argument that the Constitution and laws apply to him because he's physically in Maine, you should have some actual facts to support that. Otherwise, it's just your say-so.
All right.
So you're comfortable, let me ask you a question. You're comfortable taking someone's property by force, even though you have no facts to support your opinion that you have any jurisdiction to do so?
I'm comfortable in the processes and procedures that we have in place and that we are following. And I have no problem with taking his property if that's necessary.
But do you have...
Those processes and procedures have been followed. And I assume that they have in this case.
He says he assumes.
Of course.
It's like an agent...
This is back to the way we've always done it, though, Mark. I mean, he's conditioned from that respect.
Absolutely.
And there's zero personal accountability. He goes home at night, sleeps, eats, gets paid, regardless of the damage done to the person he's attacking.
Yep.
So he's very comfortable. That's the source of his comfort.
He just doesn't care. He doesn't
care.
He's not the one being attacked, so he doesn't have to care.
Exactly.
Correct. He assumes. It was like someone in Idaho last week saying it's intuitive. Oh, it's not based on evidence, good faith, and logic. No. Witnesses, no. It's intuitive. Okay. So.
Well, how can you follow your process and procedures when you have no evidence that your constitutional laws apply to him in the first place? Wouldn't that be the foundation? Let's first determine that the Constitution and laws apply, then you apply the laws?
I think it's assumed.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's assumed. Now, I'll have this up on YouTube, and I'm more than happy to have people on the show to call in, and if you can show where I was illogical, where I got the facts wrong, where I was irrational, where I was unprofessional, please call the show, because I mean it's only a 6-minute and change audio. You can give me the times. Well, Mark, it's at 5 minutes 2 seconds to 5 minutes 30 seconds. You said XYZ, and I think you're a douche for saying it. But at least bring it on. Bring it. Bring me a rational argument. Give me something of substance to show that I was in the wrong here, that I did anything that was irrational or illogical. I'd love to hear it. This man is attacking. He's comfortable attacking a stranger and taking their property by force on an assumption. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's what Phil said.
He said, I assumed.
Yeah. So
I filled out the forms out correctly. I assumed they apply to him, and we took his stuff. What's the problem?
Yeah. So we just got a little bit.
Let me
left.
write that down. It's
So
assumed.
if you can come up with something that shows me that it doesn't apply, I'll be happy to entertain that.
Well, sure. You don't have any evidence it does. You just said, I think it's assumed. You're assuming. That's a startling confession. considering the circumstances.
Well, we're out of time, but yes, he's assuming it, and he tries to put the burden of proof back on me, which is standard with these bureaucrats because they have no evidence. They're just a gang of killers, thieves, and liars. This is just another example that they have no evidence. Their stupid little laws apply. Until next time, salud. So what we're going to do, this is going to be for the a little more off-air commentary, JT. I know you don't have that much time, either do I.
Right.
But I appreciate you being able to, spend a couple more minutes. So
Absolutely.
what I want to do is I want to just go back a little bit and play the whole last.
So if you can come up with something that shows me that it doesn't apply, I'll be happy to entertain that.
Well, sure. You don't have any evidence it does. You just said, I think it's assumed. You're assuming.
So now here, let's assume for a moment, assume that he is being rational and acting in good faith by putting the burden on me, right? Just for sake of argument, okay?
Yep.
You show me something that shows it does not apply. Now, maybe it's me. I think I made a pretty strong case, and I said, you admittedly have no evidence that it does, and you're assuming it does. Now, wouldn't that qualify as showing that those are his statements? That's evidence, right?
Right.
I would say that qualifies as evidence. It's facts that tend to prove a certain proposition, and I think any rational person would say, well, yeah, if they don't have any evidence, you have proved that it doesn't apply.
Right.
That's not enough.
You just said it was an assumption.
Yeah, he said it was an assumption.
Was devoid of facts. By saying it was an assumption, you're essentially saying that I have no facts. I'm just assuming.
Yeah. And look at the double standard, for goodness sakes.
Right.
He can assume and use guns and take it by force.
Yep, exactly.
But me, I have to prove it?
Yeah.
I have to prove that his assumption is wrong.
You have to prove a negative, which is impossible. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, in this situation, it's not, because I can say, well, your Constitution is just a written instrument. Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, to get to the, sure, exactly.
So
yeah.
how,
but for a guy like that, he's going to, I mean, it's like explain, for him, it literally is to a degree, and I don't know how much of his response is knee-jerk conditioning for the years of so-called employment he's had with that particular outfit. But it's like explaining wet to a fish. What are you talking about? This is how it is.
Yeah. It's such a foreign concept. I want to finish. Yeah. I want to finish this. It's only a few seconds long, and then I want to talk about the foreign concept.
That's a startling confession, considering the circumstances, Phil. I would want to get some contact information and speak to your supervisor if you're not willing to at least stay proceedings.
And really, that the rest of it, we got the bulk of it and why it's so important. Sure. What I was getting to under the circumstances, now he's not the one who pulled the trigger.
Right.
I get that, but he was fully aware, JT, because we had the case number. He knew who Dan was. He's got the file like on the computer right in front of him.
Sure.
He knows the situation. He knows the history, and. That's why I mentioned about the context, and he just doesn't care, and this goes to Phil as much as it does to anybody watching this video and listening to this call. And that's the thing. If anyone thinks, well, Mark, you're full of crap, you just called somebody up and made the call up. That's not real.
Right.
I don't think that that's actually not true, because I'll even give you the phone number. You can call and talk to Phil yourself.
Sure.
It's 207-624-9772. So you can talk to Phil yourself and verify. In fact, you can replicate these results yourself. I have gotten more than enough call to shames posted that this is not the first time I've done this. So again, 207-624-9772 is the contact number for Phil. So I don't know his last name. They don't give last names.
Right.
Which is fairly standard. But for those people who would look at this and have a real problem understanding it, I think because the average person, JT, has the same problem Phil does. Like you mentioned about trying to explain wet to a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea that that political laws, which are to me and you are the ramblings of the insane, to think that
Yes.
you can write something down on a piece of paper. These are my show notes, by the way. That you can write down your will on a piece of paper that, whatever it happens to be, and that it applies to everybody in a certain area.
Right.
To me, that's the ramblings of the insane. They believe that stuff, though. They believe that it applies to everybody, and we're conditioned, like you've said. That's the word for it. We're conditioned from a very early age that if you are in Canada, the Canadian laws apply to you. If you're born in Canada, the laws apply, and you're a citizen or a subject, whatever. That's the same thing in the U.S. So that and it just keeps getting reinforced. Like last week, we had the disgusting display of worshiping the dead. It just awful, and you have Armed Forces Day. It's continually reinforced. So the perception is, look, this is from the hand of a God. It's the law.
Right.
It applies. It's a blasphemy. I mean that in a literal sense.
No, do it or we'll shoot you.
Yeah. God will strike you down with a taser or a Glock 40 if you do not obey His laws. So I call it sacred writ for a reason, and because people, and it's that perception, that false legitimacy, the perception that people have. Well, of course the laws apply, so that when someone like us, when they hear a call like this. Again, I am not calling a critic and doing this. This is a guy with the boots on the ground. This is someone in the middle of the attack. I'm calling prosecutors and tax agents, the guys doing the attacks, the ones who would be testifying against you in court. Okay? This is not just me hashing out on YouTube with somebody. These are the actual agents. So when you hear that, then when the agents themselves can't answer such a simple question, and I can't make it any easier, JT.
Right.
They agree that they operate under that presumption. If you are physically in Maine, our laws apply, we have jurisdiction. And all I do is ask him, do you have any actual proof? That's it. There's no magic formula.
No.
We're just asking for the proof. They don't have it. They absolutely do not have it. And I think it's also has to do with the ramifications of that. And we've talked about this so many times here on the No State Project. Like, what's on the back of Adventures in Legal Land, right? What's the question? You remember?
It's the see, hear, no, and speak no evil.
Well, the question on the back of the book is it possible?
Oh yeah, could it be that what you think is real is just a public relations scheme?
Right. And it's the realization when you hear calls like this and they're replicated, and even a spokesman for the Attorney General in Canada has to hang up the phone rather than give me any evidence because he didn't have it. It is difficult to imagine that the truth is you are not a citizen. You're not.
Right.
There are no cities. There are no countries. There are no nations. There are no presidents. There are no senators. There is no godlike government savior out to save you and to protect you. You are an individual man or woman.
Right.
And that's all we are. And that's all government is men and women. They call themselves government because they are taking advantage of the perceptions in your head that they are an authority, that they are superhuman, that they can make rules you have to comply with or die.
Right.
It's sick. And so we've got a lot of conditioning. We've got confirmation bias, and this is what government data I get into. And so I want to end this by stating that if anyone disagrees, JT, anyone disagrees with what I presented on this show, especially this part, that my position is based on years of interaction and investigation directly with these bureaucrats and politicians, and a lot of it's on my website as objective proof, that the only conclusion that I can come to is, well, there's two. They have no evidence that they can provide proving their constitutional laws apply. And the reason why they can't do that is because there is no such thing as magic. You just don't write things on a piece of paper and they apply to everybody. That's not the way things work. And they're okay. And so I appreciate your time. Again, if anybody thinks that they have evidence that these politicians, these bureaucrats who are physically attacking people, killing people every day, that they can't provide the evidence. And I know you've done some of your own calls too, and they've never provided them to you either.
Never. Nope.
If my gosh, if you guys have the evidence out there that these politicians have been 100% unable to provide, we do a live broadcast every Saturday practically here on LRN.FM. Just call with your evidence. I'll schedule you as a guest. I will go on another live broadcast. You can email me off the website. I'm Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype. Let's get it set up. So what I'm going to do, JT, so before I let you go, I want to end the show on this. I don't know if you were here for this or not, but I think this kind of sums up why this information is so important and how we get to a free voluntary society. And because this sums up how I feel, especially after some of these calls. So here we go.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
That's right.
Amen to that, brother.
Amen to that. You bet.
That was, and I'll have that linked on the show. Actually, it's part of the video here. So my video screen it got that. Maybe I should have made it full screen. It would have been better. But that is the machine speech, and I recommend everyone listen to watch the whole speech.
Absolutely.
It is epic. It's been a great show, my friend. I appreciate the time you're spending after the regular show.
Always a blast.
And again, it's the No State Project on LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network, my website, markstevens.net. If you've got any evidence to show that the Constitution and laws apply because your physical location, please, we welcome the opportunity to be embarrassed and have you prove us wrong. So, till next time, salud.